Today we're going to trim this bowl that has an uneven rim. Uneven rims are very hard to trim sometimes. What I like to do is use this bat that has a foam covering over it, and then I took a Sharpie and I made lines so that whatever size my piece is, I can kind of center it with those lines. That helps me a lot, and that foam really protects my rim. So when I do these little flares that I do on these rims, I want them protected because of course they could chip or whatever, get dinged up from trimming, and I don't want that to happen. So first thing I do is check my thickness, and then I'm going to flip this baby upside down and center it with those little rings that I drew on there with the Sharpie. I like to draw them in different colors. So as you could see, I had a green and a red, and I just kind of alternate the colors. Or I have more Sharpies, you can do more colors, whatever you like. But that way you don't get them confused. If you've got it off a little bit, sometimes it's easy to just glance at it real fast and have it on two different lines. We don't want that to happen. This one's pretty easy for that to not happen because the size of the rim is pretty large, so there isn't much of the line hanging out. But if you had a smaller piece, it could be a little more challenging. Anyways, now we've got it on our wheel head, and I'm just gonna get this going. I like this little lid here to hold my finger on. Now I know a lot of companies sell little, I'm not sure what they call them, it's just a little tool that you can put there, but this lid works just as well. Some people use fidget spinners, and those work good too. So just whatever you have lying around really will work if you need to put pressure on there. So since I'm using something that's not holding my bowl, I obviously want to apply a little extra pressure. I remove any extra clay that I have on the sides and the bottom. So I kind of go up the side. Generally, I don't have a lot of extra weight on that side, but almost always there's extra weight right down by the base of anything that you throw. Once you do that, I like to take this tool right here. It's got a little small end, and I can cut that foot in perfectly with that. It is one of my favorite tools to use to create my foot. So once I have my sides and my bottom, there's a line. That line tells me where to start my foot. So I take that line and I go straight down from it with that tool. And then I can have the outside of my foot. I clean up any extra clay that is there so I still have that perfectly curved side. And then I choose the thickness that I want that foot. I try to go a little thicker than what I think I want because if you go too thin, it just doesn't look quite right. Of course, always have to have a coffee break. And then we're going to remove any extra clay that we have right there in the center. Since I already have that mark next to the foot, I'm just going to go right to it. I start from the inside, middle of that foot, and then I'm going to go right to that line that I created that is the inside of the foot. Now I know how far to go down because I checked my thickness at the very beginning. I marked it, and now I know that if I go any deeper than that mark, that I could go through my pot. So I'm going to be very careful not to go too deep, but to just get the right thickness. So I have even walls all the way from the very bottom of my piece all the way up to the rim. I'm going to take extra care making sure there is no sharp edges anywhere, especially on the sides of that foot. I want it nice and rounded, but I also want it to sit flat. When I'm trimming my foot, I try not to trim the very bottom of it, only the sides. And then I also run my hand over the entire piece. I want everything to feel really nice and smooth. Now, if you wanted to add texture to your piece or designs, this would be the time. I can see this piece having chattering done on the outside and that looking really good. Let me know if you want a tutorial on that, and I can do that one up next. Then I'm going to take my chop and sign this baby, and it is all finished. If you've hung out with me this long, please subscribe, like, and follow. And if you're feeling a little intimidated to do this on your own, don't forget we teach classes. We'd love to have you in our studio. Throw in the comments anything you guys want to see next. I absolutely love seeing everybody's ideas and seeing if it can push me a little further. Thank you so much. I hope you guys have a fabulous day, and I hope you enjoyed this. See you next time at Potter's Peak.